taking flight. Oh, sent it with his chest.
I've been doing this too long. I'm making no statements.
He's been issued a flagrant foul penalty too and has been ejected from the game.
Yeah, see you later.
Fans making me a villain, the media making me a villain. That just creates a whole different persona on me. So now you think I intended to hit LeBron James in the nuts. I'm playing basketball, I'm a basketball player.
It all goes down tonight in Game 6, and we're joined by our NBA reporter who covers the Grizzlies for us, Tim McMahon. And Tim, after Game 5, Desmond Bane, he all but guaranteed that we'd all be going back to Memphis for a Game 7. And it's not like the Grizzlies lack confidence, right? But why specifically are they so confident that they are going to be able to extend this series?
As you said, they are always confident. That's never been an issue, maybe too confident at times, but they feel like, hey, they easily could have won Game 5. If they get a stop on the last possession of regulation, they do win that game. I mean, even when they got blown out in Game 3, John Morant made a point of twice pointing out, hey, we won the last 3 quarters. Not quite how the scoreboard's kept, but this is a team that is always going to believe in itself. And the other thing is, while Dillon Brooks has melted in the spotlight that he so desperately sought, when he was poking that bear, he was not lying when he said LeBron James is old. And this series has been back and forth every other day, travel in between. And let's be honest, Game 5 LeBron sort of looked his age. If that's the case again tonight, obviously the Grizzlies really like their chances.
You mentioned Dillon Brooks. Let's dive a little bit more into him because he's struggled in this series, right? The 4th worst jump shooter in this postseason. So what is the Grizzlies' plan for him tonight?
Well, it's complicated by Luke Kennard being questionable, and I think questionable is putting it pretty mildly. Just got back from shoot-around. It's that left shoulder, shooting shoulder, that's injured. I'm here to tell you, he did not take a shot. He did not take a dribble. He was standing around, and when a ball bounced to that side, he reached with his right arm across his body. Wasn't even moving his shoulder. I'd be surprised if he plays tonight, and that's the solution to, hey, do we need to pull the plug on Dillon Brooks? You saw that early in the 3rd quarter in Game 5. Boom, the Grizzlies go on a run. Suddenly the spacing is wide open. And you give John Morant wide open space and Desmond Bane wide open space, and they can do a lot of damage. I would be surprised if they have that option. So they might just have to ride it out with Dillon Brooks and hope that he has his first good shooting game of this postseason.
Tim, thank you so much. You said the magic words, though, LeBron James and his last game. Now, I'm not going to be the one that calls LeBron James old. The Lakers are, in fact, 5-point favorites tonight. But I want to get into his performance a little bit more with our esteemed panel here because, Perk, he only had 15 points in the last game, 5 of 17 from the floor, and afterwards, he vowed to be better.
Really, Richard?
I just trying to get some FaceTime, man.
Pirouette with the camera.
You know, listen, man. You gotta make love to the camera. You know what I'm saying?
I mean,
And with that, Kendrick Perkins.
too much FaceTime.
Happy Friday, ladies and gentlemen.
This is late night with
Late
Richard
night.
Jefferson.
Do the voice, Richard. Do the voice.
No, we
Do
don't.
it.
We don't have to do that voice. We don't have to do that voice. I just want to tell you, thank you for joining us, ladies and gentlemen. I'm here with my esteemed colleagues.
I didn't know Squiz had.
Yeah, you're not Squid Seven.
Squidward later.
I'm in my moment right now. I got my one shot. You know what I'm saying?
But the question is, will LeBron be in his moment tonight, Kendrick Perkins?
Hell
what do you
yeah,
expect
he is.
from him?
Hell yeah, he is. Matter of fact, I believe he getting to the arena at what, 2:30? 2:35
Might be there now.
Yeah, he might be there now. And look, we're going to see the best version of LeBron James tonight. He knows the importance of this game. He's going to come out. He's going to set the tone. He's going to be aggressive. He's not going to be settling. And he's not going to wait on Anthony Davis. We have seen this time and time again. We know he could look old at times, but he get the benefit of the doubt.
Look old. He is old.
No, he's not old.
No, I'm saying he old.
Basketball.
Are you old then? Because
Yes.
I'm very old.
Ancient.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, we know he old.
So given that it would be more travel, given that it would be going back and forth today, are we calling this must-win at this point for the Lakers?
this is absolutely a must-win game for the Los Angeles Lakers just because, that last game took, that going in there, they probably were not going to have the energy of the second half. They will absolutely have to win win this, and LeBron James will have to do it because he has been the consistent factor along with some key pieces of the supporting cast. What's wrong, Perk?
How's it a must? Like, we keep saying must
Man,
win.
it's a must
It's
win.
a must when you're at home.
Stop. You're getting on the plane and you got everything.
Did that help them last time they got on the plane,
the
Perk?
cookies,
Did it help them the last time they got on the
game
plane?
1.
Okay, but we're at game
They
6.
won game 1.
We're at game 6, and it's the
It was
playoffs.
different circumstances. He played 48 minutes in game 4. They took a 10:30 flight the next morning, got in,
The Lakers
lost
have a
some time.
history late in the season of not performing after tough travel days.
So
we know this.
In a game 7, you're going against LeBron.
I mean, Memphis looked great at home in game 7.
Answer his question.
In a game 7, are you going against LeBron?
In this circumstance, I am favoring the team, the Memphis Grizzlies.
So, yeah,
who showed up because they're younger.
So this is
Janae
must win.
Agumake is going against
It's not just
LeBron in a game
LeBron.
7.
Wow.
Put on the graphic.
Well, how about
I'm
this
going
series,
for him in
my
game
friend?
6.
Keep it in the
the series will be
What
done.
about Philadelphia and Boston? We're going to preview that series coming up next because that series has some Richard Jefferson, Malika Andrews, Janae Agumake, Kendrick Perkins, Zach Lowe is standing by, as well as Adrian Wojnarowski. And the Celtics and Hawks game, I mean, it was a little closer, right, than we expected maybe it to be. So we're going to get to that because the Celtics did handle their business. But we have to start with 2 massive Game 6s that are going down tonight on ESPN.
Let's go.
We have the Warriors, the Lakers. They can both close out their first-round series at home tonight. So with that, let's bring Zach Lowe into this conversation because out of all of the players, Zach, who are going to see the floor for these 4 teams, who is the singular most important guy?
It's still, all these years later, LeBron James, because the Lakers should not want any part of going back to Memphis for a game 7. And I thought LeBron, by his standards, played a passive game in game 5. 5 of 17, 9 of his shots were threes. And we saw Memphis went all in on shooting. They played smaller. They played more guards, more Luke Kennard, more Tyus Jones with John Moran. If LeBron has a well-spaced floor for his team, and the other team has all those little guards on defense, that is hunting time for LeBron. That is, where is Luke Kennard? Bring him into a pick and roll with me, and if they switch, I'm posting up. Where's Ja? Where's Tyus? And we didn't see that bully ball gear from him in that game, and that's fine. That's the luxury of a 3-1 lead with game 6 at home. He's 38 years old. He's played more minutes than all but one guy in the history of the league. But tonight, I expect to see that guy come out if Memphis plays small like that again and try to pound the Grizzlies into that good night in the playoffs.
Okay, so Janae, this can be the most important player from any of the games tonight, any of the 4 teams. Who are you taking?
Yeah, if we thought about the big scheme of things, the big picture, obviously LeBron James, but specifically, this is game 6. And who was built for game 6s? We all know the answer. Klay Thompson. Klay Thompson, he shoots almost 50% from 3. The Warriors, they sort of had a lot of drama in this series. And if he's able to show up in his Game 6 Klay version.
Oh, Game 6 Klay version.
I mean, no way.
You said Game 6 Klay. You said the magic word. So let's just remind the people, the magnum opus. It was 2016, Janae, 41 points, a record 11 three-pointers. Big win here to keep their series alive, their season alive at this point. And then we keep it pushing today because it's 2018. Down 3-2 to the Rockets, and Klay Thompson has 35 points, 9 triples in a 29-point blowout. I mean, my goodness, look at young Klay Thompson.
Young Klay.
And then last postseason, of course, helped close out the Grizzlies. High 30 points, 8 threes. The Dubs won by 14. I'll let you get back to your point, Janae.
Yeah, I mean, I get the logic. I get the takes. But right here, this is all about vibes. This is all about feelings. This is all about emotions. He's made this a thing. Klay Thompson showing up in Game 6. You see the numbers right there. 48% shooting from 3. That is wild. And so looking at this, just for fun, that's something fun to follow tonight.
It's going to be fun unless you're on the other side.
Well, that's true. Sorry, I still love the Light the Beam crew.
Who are you looking at, Ferg?
I'm going with the other. Okay, like we could easily pick out.
Yeah.
No, but I'm saying, but what I'm saying is, let me finish. Okay, let me finish. We can easily pick out the superstars and the stars, but we know it's going to be an unsung hero in one of these games that are going to help one of these teams elevate and get the win. And I'm going with Dennis Schroeder. When I look at the Los Angeles Lakers and I look at this series, Desmond Bain and Ja Morant has had it their way on the perimeter. And no offense to D'Angelo Russell. I believe he can provide an offensive spark, but he's not Dennis Schroeder when it comes down to being a pest on the defensive end, picking up 94 feet, being able to at least contain Ja Morant in certain points of the game, even Desmond Bain. If the Lakers want to win this, Darvin Ham has to play him more than 19 minutes, okay? He got to put it up there about 30. Like, I expect more minutes for Dennis Schroeder. I think he's going to be the deciding factor on why the Lakers win this game tonight.
No, I do agree with a large portion of what you said. D'Angelo Russell, to me, is at the point now where if he's not scoring, he's not doing much else for you. So you want to give him that opportunity, and he's played so well late that I think it's hard to kind of just say, hey, we're gonna skip on you. We're gonna move to Schroeder. This is what I'm talking about. I want to tell you guys what the real key is, right? Because we got 2 games here.
Tie your shoe, Richard.
You know what? My shoe ain't tied because you know what? I like to keep it
casual.
Here. It's casual Monday here in the studio.
It's
so we want to
Friday.
chop it up. It's Friday for y'all. Anyway. This is who I think is the key. It is Draymond Green and Kevon Looney. I think these two are going to be the key to the game. Why? Because of their defense on Sabonis. Sabonis is the hub of everything that they do on the offensive end in Sacramento. So if we roll Z tape, we can show you some of the things. Now here, look at how they're guarding Sabonis. Look, they have so much depth, and Draymond now gets to play free center, or free safety, excuse me. He's got an okay shooter there in the corner, but watch, Draymond gets to float. Now Draymond gets to go back to his man. See, Draymond's allowed to be free safety, and Kevon Looney is there to guard every single thing that they need. Now here, again, you put Draymond in the pick and roll. Now Draymond is guarding him. Look, he's able to play free safety, get to De'Aaron Fox, because you know De'Aaron Fox, you got to have 2 people guarding him at all times. But Draymond Green's activity has been outstanding. And then if he's able to give you something offensively, he scored 20 points for the first time all season. He scored 21 points for the first time in a playoff game since 2019. So to me, if we're talking about the most important cog of this game, if Draymond Green plays well, if Draymond Green plays to that level, it doesn't have to give you 20. If he gives you 15 points, if he does what he's done defensively, I think the Golden State Warriors ain't going to have no problems.
So he's come off the bench the last 2 games. Shanae, would you bring him off the bench again in this game if
I
you're
would.
Steve Kerr?
First of all, if you have an unbothered player who can make that strategic move and really just feel like he's doing the best thing for the team, it has translated to wins. The game in which he did not play, obviously he drove to the arena and said, hey, yo, I see what is happening when I am coming off the bench and with the rotations. And as I said before, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. That's what Perk said. And so what they see is that they have better offensive floor spacing. Jordan Poole seems more consistent shooting the ball and just sort of feels like he's more involved early on. And then lastly, he's out there just playing defense and playing to his strengths. And so I think, Richard, you're exactly right. Maybe your answer is his answer, the others. Because the others stepping up, I know a lot of people will focus on Steph. A lot of people will focus on Clay.
Like yourself.
Yeah, what do you mean?
Like you just said, Clay said a lot of people are going to focus on Clay. You just did a Game 6 play. We mean what I mean.
No, but what I'm saying is the others, Kevon and Draymond, could really be the ones that impact them. So you guys have the same-ish answers.
No, we don't have the same.
Never?
Since we're talking about Golden State, I'm actually riding with them now. I'm actually riding with them. Yeah, I'm actually
you're jumping ship?
Yeah, I am. I'm jumping ship right now. I'm actually a fan of the Golden State Warriors. I believe that, one, they're the smartest team in the league right now. I'm watching teams around the league and the quote-unquote contenders, they're playing dumb basketball, stupid basketball. Coaches are making dumb decisions. And when I look at this team, Draymond Green getting suspended was the best thing that happened to this Warriors team because, to me, it made them come closer together. Now, all of a sudden, when Draymond comes back and he tells Steve Kerr, hey, you know what? I'm going to take a lesser role. I'm going to come off the bench. All of a sudden, guess what? The energy kind of changed in the locker room. And all of a sudden, you give a certain level of confidence to Looney to go out there and be the best version of himself. And I'm actually loving the 6-man Draymond. They might need to ride with that through the rest of the playoffs because, again, it's not who starts, it's who finishes. So when I'm looking at them play and Clay's shot making, along with what Steph has been doing, looking like arguably the best player in the playoffs outside of Jimmy Butler, I just don't know if the team have the depth, the intelligence, and the sacrifice to beat this team in the 7-game series.
Well, look, I get what you're saying, and sometimes I think when the situation happened with Draymond at the beginning of the year, it did break the team apart. Like that's what they haven't been disjointed. So now all of a sudden, Draymond gets a chance to be like team first. Here, this is about you guys.
Good point.
Like, I'm going to come off the bench. I know I have my issues, but when it comes to winning and when it comes to the game of basketball, team first, and like to your point, that can bring the team together. The last thing I'll say is of these 2 games, right, the team that gets, if this goes 7, the difference is I believe that the Warriors can win in 7. I don't think that the Lakers can win in 7 on the road.
Oh, agreed.
That's the difference. That's the difference. So this Memphis-Laker game, it's all about Game 6. The Warriors, in my humble opinion, they have a little bit more leeway.
Even with their road struggles.
Even with their road struggles, they just won they just won a game on the road. I'm not going to root it. I'm not going to bet against like the Golden State Warriors and their team.
This is must win for the Lakers.
Yeah, the Lakers.
It's must
You
win.
don't want to put the extra miles on either.
Yeah, but it's hard for me to doubt Braun in the game.
I'm not
7.
doubting Braun. It
And
ain't Braun I'm doubting.
I can't count him out. Who you doubt?
I'm true. How many other players they got on their roster?
Well, under Steve
The
Kerr,
other
at
14.
least,
The other
the
14.
Warriors, they're 10-3 at home with an opportunity to clinch a series as opposed to 12-7 on the road. So it does get a little bit shakier. Game 6s going down. And speaking of Game 6s, the Jays, they closed out the Hawks last night in the A. So Woj is here with the latest to the A, my friends, because Game 6 last night between the Celtics and the Hawks, it came down to the final couple of minutes. Jason Tatum, but it's the man behind him, Jalen Brown, that you need to keep an eye on. And, of course, Trae Young. He started this game off red hot, Shanae.
I mean, 18 points in the first quarter. This guy, he's done a really good job of riding the ship, especially second half of the season. And you just feel like, okay, there's things to look forward to if you're Hawks fans with how he's handled all the adversity.
25 points in the first half for Young, but just 5 in the second. That's when Jalen Brown took over, Rich.
Yeah, Jalen Brown was special. This is the thing. When you talk about 2 superstars being in sync in the postseason, I think Jason Tatum and Jalen Brown, they are the 2 best superstars right now that are left, in my opinion. Like if you combine, I think that they are the 2 best
Book
players.
and KD?
I think that they are better. They're better suited, like their squad, the way they complement each other.
Okay.
In my humble opinion, I'm not saying more talented than Kevin Durant and Jeff Booker. I'm saying in sync for what their team needs from them for 48 minutes.
Not to mention their supporting cast is exceptional because when you have a big guy who can also make a big 3, Jason Tatum coming in on cleanup duty there, but even the brightest superstars like Jason Tatum after the win have to offer an apology to our musical legends.
I want to send an apology to the legend Janet Jackson. We were supposed to close it out in Boston. She had the postpone of the show. I hope she see this. I apologize for that, but we got it done today.
You got to come out and be ready to play and be ready to go. No matter what it looked like on paper, it don't matter what it looked like, in the media and the news. You got to come out and play basketball. You got teams that's not going to back down. You got guys that's going to come out and test you. And Atlanta Hawks did that.
Jalen Brown, 32 points, 6 of 8 on 3-pointers. The Celtics, though, they get the second round with huge effort from Tatum and Jalen to close things out. Brown and Tatum are the 5th duo in Celtics history to each have 30 points in a series-clinching win, and they're the first duo to accomplish that feat since Burt and McHale in 1988. So the Celtics, when you look at the betting lines, right, as we welcome in our senior NBA insider, Adrian Wojnarowski, they're still far and away the favorites to win the title, but their first-round series went maybe a little bit farther than Janet Jackson was expecting things to. So I'm going to start with you here, Woj. When you look at these Celtics, do you feel better or worse? What is the league thinking as they look at this team after that series?
Listen, this is still as talented of a team, as deep of a team that there is in the playoffs, a team that still last year was 2 games away from winning a title. And, I mean, think back to 2008, Perk's Boston team that rolled through the rest of the playoffs to win a championship. They went 7 games in that first round against the Atlanta Hawks. This was a 6-game series. I still think this is a Boston team that is built to win a championship. And sometimes just getting out of that first round and getting through it allows you to sort of get your bearings. But they're going to face a monster Philadelphia team that has a lot on the line and has been waiting all season knowing they were going to have to get through the Celtics to get to where they want to go.
Yeah, I agree, but because when you have a guy like Derek White who can average 18 in a series, who's their 5th best player, but I will say this, I did see some flaws in this series with the Boston Celtics, starting with Joe Mazzulla. I saw certain situations he could have handled them better. And then I see some things out there on the floor that I'm watching and I'm saying, that's not championship caliber basketball. That's not a championship type shot. Like, shots that Marcus Smart is taking early in the shot clock that I feel like maybe you should pull it out, set up the offense. Their defense hasn't been great this series. And when you're going against Joel Embiid, Harden, Tyrese Maxey, and then you could throw in Tobias Harris, you have to be on point like Rondo. And I just want to see this matchup. I think it's going to be a lot closer than what people expect it to be. It's not going to be a cakewalk with far as the Sixers coming in town, and I think they have something to prove, and Joe Mazzulla is going to have to prove something as well going against Doc Rivers.
Now, I said a couple of days ago, maybe about a week ago, I said that the Boston Celtics were probably the second deepest team behind the Milwaukee Bucks. I said the Milwaukee Bucks had more depth, they had more everything. So now the Celtics fans are all in my mentions, and y'all barely beat a healthy or a banged-up Atlanta Hawks team, and then DeJounte Murray was injured. You guys still lost to them, and it wins 6. My only thing is this. Boston has the most talented team left in the postseason, in my opinion. They are now my pick to win a championship. But ultimately, Boston fans, don't start doing this whole victory lap now that Milwaukee's out. Don't start doing that, because what they played versus what you played, what their situation was, losing their best player for 2.5 games, possibly the MVP, that's very different than what you guys had as a fully healthy roster. So, you guys are the best lefts, but don't start doing this victory tour. That's all I'm going to say.
And life can come at you fast, especially in the playoffs. But what I will say to push back a little bit on you, Perk, is I think that the reason why they probably feel okay advancing to the next round is they knew they ran out of gas when it came to the NBA Finals. And sometimes when you go all out and you put so much pressure on yourself, you end up making more mistakes. So they made some mistakes. They're probably going to learn from them. I think absolutely you're correct on Joe Mazzulla. There has to be timeouts. There has to be strategic plays. There has to be direction for players like Marcus Smart instead of just going willy-nilly out there.
Willy-nilly?
So, yeah, I mean, what's wrong with that word?
Willy-nilly.
So I think that there are growing experiences that also helps them in this situation.
Zach Lowe, where do you fall on this?
Look, I feel great about Boston, but it must be Friday because I kind of agree with Perk. I still feel great about Boston. They're awesome. They're super talented. And by the way, credit to the Hawks. I counted them out in that series when they lost the first 2 games, and they rallied back to make it a series. With Perk, just some plays, like these open threes late in the stretch run are just defensive breakdowns, letting the Hawks back in the game, not guarding the inbounds passer. Yeah, you're up by 8. How about not letting them get a clean look at a 3 up by 8? There was just a certain looseness to the way Boston played these last 2 games. Obviously, blowing a big lead in the previous game at home. A certain looseness that, like Perk said, is not going to cut it as the competition gets better. And Perk mentioned people thinking this is going to be a cakewalk for Boston. I hope nobody thinks that, because there is no cake and no walking if Joel Embiid is healthy against the Philadelphia 76ers. Whoever is out there saying that, I haven't heard it, but if people think anyone is cakewalking by Joel Embiid, they are wrong. Boston's got to bring its A game in this series.
Let's check in on the other side of this, Woj, the Atlanta Hawks. Let's listen to Trae Young after last night's game on the future of this team.
Trae, I know it's tough because you just lost a playoff series, but what have these last 6-8 weeks been like for you playing under Quinn, and what are your thoughts on the future?
I mean, Quinn is the future. I mean, I believe with him here, the city's going to win a championship, and it's just about bringing in the right pieces for him. And I mean, him obviously getting a full summer to bring in his people and training camp to put in what he wants to put in. It's kind of tough when you get in the position halfway through the year and you kind of want to put in your stuff, but we're kind of already halfway through the year and everybody's played 40, 50 games or 30 games, how many we were played at that point. But I think he's going to be great for us, and I'm excited for the future with him.
So Woj, Trae, clearly optimistic here, but what is the future, the next steps here for Atlanta?
Well, this is why Landry Fields, Atlanta's GM, wanted to bring Quinn Snyder in with 20 games left in the regular season. He walks in out of coaching this year without his own coaching staff, literally walks into a practice and coaches a game and starts. And you could see by the time they got into the play-in tournament, going to Miami, and then winning 2 games against Boston. You could see, even in this short window, the growth on the court, but you talk to people in Atlanta and the growth off the court with Trae Young, with DeJounte Murray, and certainly building around those two. But I think part of why they brought Quinn Snyder in was to start building those relationships. He's done that with Trae Young, and also getting a sense of who they might want to keep. He gets a better sense now of the personnel and who he can build with, who they might want to move on, what they need. But I think the growth for Trae Young with Quinn Snyder has been exponential for that organization in a short period. Now in the offseason, Quinn Snyder gets to put in his own coaching staff, gets to put in his own program. And I think right now for Trae Young, I think this is the best thing that's ever happened in his career.
Yeah, Perk was mentioning the other day on the show how impressed you were with the growth here of Trae Young. If we could, though, guys, I want to pivot to another team in the Eastern Conference here, the Milwaukee Bucks, an early exit for them. But now that the dust has settled a little bit, Woj, what is the fallout? There's so much noise around what could happen in the offseason in this for Milwaukee. What's the actuality?
I think this is an organization in shock right now. I still think they're decompressing for how this Miami series ended, how suddenly it ended, and then where do they go from here. I think people certainly look at Mike Budenholzer, their head coach, who they won a championship with, have won a lot in the postseason with Budenholzer. He's got 2 years left on his deal, about $16 million or so. I think Milwaukee is going to certainly take their time. I think there were a lot of exit meetings in the last couple of days, players, coaches, front office sitting and talking. I think they're going to continue to do that. This is a very deliberate organization under John Horst. You also have new ownership in. Mark Lazary, who was a co-owner, is out. The Haslam family is in. Wes Edens is still part of that. So you have a different dynamic in ownership, and that certainly can impact things. But I think this is a Milwaukee organization that is going to take their time. Because here's the thing, when you talk about a Mike Budenholzer, you talk about a Doc Rivers in Philadelphia with championship-level teams, and people talk about if they don't advance this far, they're going to be gone. You got to know who you are going to bring in and who is out there at a championship level that you can bring in that's better than what you know you have. And that's a very short list. And I think when you look at coaches like Mike Budenholzer, like Doc Rivers, these are very complicated questions. I don't think there'll be a quick resolution in terms of making a decision on Budenholzer's future. I think they've got to come down from the shock of this and get past the emotion and really analyze this thing.
Mike Budenholzer certainly proven in Milwaukee, but the Bucks have been eliminated. The Heat move on, and we're going to focus on the teams that are still.
Yeah, it was spiritual. I don't scream too much in the games no more as I got older, but when we hit that three on the top of the key, I felt the energy.
He was doing what Book does. There were times where he was taking what the defense gave him, and then there were times where he just went, and it didn't matter. And when he's going like that, we're not calling any plays. That's just Book.
Devin Booker, he stole the show in Phoenix's first-round series win over the Clippers. But next, the top-seeded Nuggets. And these two teams, they meet in the postseason for the second time in the last 3 years. The Suns, they are favored in this matchup. And Devin Booker and Kevin Durant, they averaged over 65 points per game, Zach, in the first round. But Jamal Murray, Nikola Jokic, we know their two-man game is clicking. So what do you think is going to be the key to this series?
Oh, man, what a series. Don't overlook this series paying attention to maybe Lakers, Warriors, Sixers, Celtics, all that. The star power in this series is incredible. And to me, it starts with how does Denver defend this Phoenix pick-and-roll attack with three of the greatest pull-up shooters in the history of the league all on one team. You can't drop back against them because they will rain fire all over you and shoot you right out of the gym. Do you blitz them? Do you come up to the level of the screen? That's what Nikola Jokic likes to do. Phoenix is starting to catch a rhythm on offense. Can they pass and drive around that Denver defense when they play like that? I think it's a fascinating chess match on that end of the floor. And then how does anybody deal with Nikola Jokic in the post, orchestrating and all of that? Big challenge for DeAndre Ayton. This is a fascinating series.
It is. Zach Lowe, thank you very much. And I mean, expect plenty of points in this series, right? The Suns leading the playoffs in offensive efficiency. The Nuggets are right up there. But while the Suns, they're the favorites to come out of the West, the favorite to win the Finals MVP